A very warm welcome to you. It's a pleasure to have you join us again on Almond Finance and Wealth Reports this week. As you know, your source for latest happening information in the financial sector of the nation's economy. My name is Faith Wode. On this edition of the program, we'll kick off by bringing you the first part of our exclusive interview with Dr. Uju Ogubunka, Chairman, Bank Customers Association of Nigeria, BCAN. I took him up on the current issue of biometric verification number BVN and the pains bank customers are going through. On this edition also, we'll bring you highlights of the 6th annual Inspiring Women Dialogue series put together by Business Day Conference in Lagos recently at the Civic Center, Victoria Island. The theme of the dialogue series this year was her limitless capabilities. On this edition also, we'll bring you a brand new segment, Short and Sharp. I urge you as always to sit back, relax and spend this time with us, but all the details are coming to you after this break. Please stay with us.
Nobody appreciates insurance anywhere in the world, and that's a reality.
As a matter of responsibility to ourselves, we've got to remain relevant to their businesses.
It will be far more expensive for me as a business to go offshore to recruit manpower than to recruit the same manpower in Nigeria.
Insurance is essentially an international business, so we cannot just close up and keep everything here.
We are producing bankers not only for today but for tomorrow. We are producing bankers who are fit not only to work in Nigeria but who can work anywhere in the world.
Alright, welcome back. On the site of Almond today, I have the honor and privilege to be hosting a very sound, I must say, very sound professional, Dr. Uju Ogubunka, who is the immediate past Chief Executive of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria and is currently the Chairman of Bank Customers Association of Nigeria, BCAN. He's my guest on the program today, and together we'll be looking at the almighty, if I may say, biometric verification number and the pains of the bank's customers. That's our focus on this interview. Thank you so very much, sir, for joining me on the program. Okay, sir, I'm going to start from the layman's perspective, from what CBN and the Bankers Committee told us why BVN registration was expedient. They said it's to safeguard our money. Now, the question on many people's lips is how many means of identification does an average Nigerian need to have right now? We have the international passport, you have tax card, you have voter's card, you have national ID card, you have your workplace ID card, and a whole lot of other, and now they've added BVN to it. And surprisingly enough, voter's card and the national ID card, we actually did, well, not BVN, but we still have the biometrics capturing of individuals. So what is the whole essence of this BVN policy, as you see it?
Well, you see, the BVN is quite unique in its own identity, because it's something that happens within a particular sector of the economy, and a very important sector for that matter, the banking industry. Think through it, everything revolves around the banking industry. Whether you are in government, whether you are outside government, wherever you are, it's like the air we breathe. That's what the banking industry is like. It serves everybody because the means of exchange is the raw material and all of us need it. So when you look at it from that perspective, you see that there is need for the industry to properly identify those who come in and go out of that place. Notwithstanding the fact that you have ID card from maybe your passport, your workplace, your driver's license, and so on and so forth. Those things are still accepted within the banking industry as means of identification.
Okay.
But the uniqueness of this is that right within the banking industry itself, your biometrics are taken. And that identifies you uniquely because no two people have the same type of biometrics. So, and the reasons why CBN and the Bankers Committee gave to justify the need for this are very clear, especially given what is happening in the industry, where identity theft is so much, and we lose a lot of funds as a result of the kind of things that happen within our economy. So, and of course, banks and bankers are having challenges knowing who is who in the economy. Again, we have multiple names too. You see, one person can have about 3 or 4 names, and they can change names at any point in time, no problem. But once you have a biometric within the system, then that remains with you for life. So wherever you go, the bankers can identify you and know whether you are playing pranks or you are not playing pranks, and you'll be able to deal with you within the confines of that industry at least. Hopefully within time, I mean, perhaps in an ongoing basis, these various areas of identification will be linked together to become what you may then call the national identification card or sign. So that's the way some of us look at it, and I think that there is no mistake at all in trying to promote the BVN within the banking industry, especially given the service that industry serves to the nation.
Okay, now I will say that, would you also say that the customers who are now at the receiving end of the fallout of the BVN were adequately educated and enough awareness was created as to how and why the BVN was extremely important, and even you that have done the BVN, they got enough education on the way forward?
Well, it's neither here or there, because the level of education and awareness depends on where you are standing at a particular point in time. For instance, if you are within the cities, in one form or the other, you would have known or heard about BVN, either through radio, television, or perhaps somebody calling your attention to it, or newspapers. But when you leave the cities, then it becomes an issue that one can then ask, is it truly okay that everybody heard about this BVN, aware of what and what to do, how to go about doing it, and so on and so forth? Because radios may not work in the local environment where there's no light, for instance. If you have television sets, they probably would not work perhaps more than 1 or 2 hours in a day, and these people are perhaps in their farms. So when are they going to hear of it? Even within the city,
I was just going to say
there are so many people that I have spoken to who said, we were not even aware. We never had light for the past 6 months. We never had this for the past 1 year, and so on and so forth. So, but in general, given the impression that CBN has given that over 20 million people have registered, that shows that at least some level of awareness was created by the banks and of course the CBN. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had that kind of turnout for people to come and register. But the question then is about 32 other million that we hear have not yet been registered. What could be responsible for their not registering? Perhaps one issue may be they were not aware, or they were not completely sure of what to do. And that's where the issue of awareness could have perhaps been intensified to make sure that everybody comes into the same basket at the same time.
Okay, doctor. Even some of the people that were aware of the need to do the BVN, they did. Some of us fall into that category. But haven't done that with maybe Bank A, and we were not told you were supposed to submit that same information to bank B or C or as many banks where you have accounts. Would you also say that the customers that are going through that challenge now is actually their fault?
Well, it shouldn't be their fault if they didn't have that information. And that would have been a gap between who did the BVN at the first instance. Because the assumption I would want to take is that if you went to a place to do your BVN, when you've taken your BVN, that bank should have told you, having done this BVN here, if you have an account elsewhere, try and go to that other bank and submit your number so that they can link the two accounts together. If they didn't give you that information, then of course one cannot ascribe the fault to you. But it can also be said that there's just a gap in information. And that's exactly what we're talking about, awareness. The total picture is what is important. BVN, yes. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do it? What next and next and next? People should be properly educated so that they get the full picture and be able to pass through the whole hog before they can beat their chest and say, oh, I have truly done my BVN. So in some cases, perhaps some people didn't get that information. But I can also confirm that some banks, to the best of my knowledge, we are sending out mails to their customers to say, look, if you have done your BVN elsewhere, please come to us and let us know the number so that we can link the accounts together. If you have done with us and you have an account elsewhere, go to that other bank and submit your BVN. I know that some banks did that. I got information on that, but how many people perhaps have email addresses? That's an issue. How many people, perhaps, if you didn't get it on your phone, it could also be a problem. If you didn't hear it on radio, it's also a problem. But also, people lack attention to details. They probably hear just one side of the thing and they jump with it and forget the rest. So, situations like this apparently tell us that there is room for improvement in whatever we are trying to do, so that people, first of all, capture the essence of the program, know what they are supposed to do, how they are supposed to do it, where they are supposed to do it, and so on and so forth, so that, like I said earlier, the total picture would have been captured.
Okay, now, Doctor, speaking about the total picture, I've actually had on Monday, I was in the bank, and it was a state of chaos. And one of the customers actually said that her idea of the BVN was, as soon as you register with a particular bank, that bank is the responsibility of the bank to give his other bankers, so to speak, your details or your information, so they can key it into their system. Right. That was her understanding of why the BVN was necessary for customers to go through it.
Yeah, it is a given that somebody can think along that path. But again, like I said, information gap is the problem. In my opinion, that would have been the right thing to do. Do your BVN in one location. And since it is the same names that you have the accounts in various places, it would have been easy to use technology to match and marry all of them and then get all of them linked up together. Perhaps that's maybe a gap in the design of what we have currently. But I'm aware that we were all told to go to the next bank, wherever you have an account, and give that other number. How many people had that? How many people did it is another question. But like I said, rationally and reasonably speaking, given the level of technology we have all embraced, the most likely thing anybody would have assumed is that, look, if I do it here and I have an account in 100 places, they should be able to link all of them together, except where the names are different. But if the names are the same thing, like I expect they should be, then I don't have business going from one location to the other. That creates logistics problem, especially for those of us in Lagos where traffic is not too comfortable. But again, technology can't solve all the problems. We need to think ahead. if those who designed this program had thought about it, probably they would have just, put it there so that Uju Ogubunka has an account in 3 banks. I register in 1 bank. Easy for them to match all of them together, and everybody will just move on.
I strongly believe that the insurance industry should take the lead in the management of risks brought by the climate change and globalization on the lives of our people. We could do this through indemnifying victims for losses and financing of risk through the public-private partnership. It is in this light that I want to commend the African Center for Catastrophic Risk. They have, in partnership with the World Bank, established the African Insurance Association, whose mission is to develop insurance and reinsurance of catastrophic risks and to ensure the promotion and protection against those risks in Africa.
All right, welcome back. Moving on, we'll bring you highlights of the 6th annual Inspiring Woman Dialogue Series put together by Business Day Conferences in Lagos recently at the Civic Center, Victoria Island. The theme of the dialogue series this year was Her Limitless Capabilities. Speaking during her discussion segment, Mrs. Amina Oyagbola, Executive Director of Human Resources, MTN Nigeria, said that employers of labor need to create flexible work structures to enable more women remain in the workplace.
The Inspiring Woman Dialogue Series was initiated by Kemi Ajumobi of Business Day 6 years ago. The Inspiring Women Series is for professional women, entrepreneurs and community leaders who want to connect, learn and grow. The 6th edition was recently held at the Civic Center. The theme was Her Limitless Capabilities. Welcoming participants to the event, Professor Jenny Onwuchekwa, Editor-in-Chief of Business Day, said women have always been in leadership positions, but there is need to encourage more of the women, especially in politics.
We don't really see our women lagging behind or needing to be liberated. They have always been leaders. They may not have had all the publicity or propaganda around them, but the more we really look around, we find that we have wonderful women in very leadership positions, bright, as competent as the men, sometimes more so, and that really, if there's discrimination, it's not so obvious, and it may be in a matter of numbers. We have women in every profession, in every walk of life, in politics, in education, in academia, in entertainment, in the marketplace, leading and making decisions. And of course, in the corporate environment, more and more women, more and more companies are led by women.
Investing in women is not only the right thing to do, but also the smart thing to do. Research shows that there are many support groups for women in business, female entrepreneurs, and women just looking for business advice. Women in different areas are wanting to show the support that in some cases they never had. Leading the dialogue, Mrs. Amina Oyagbola, Human Resources Executive, MTN Nigeria Communications Limited, stated that with all the will globally for women empowerment, fundamental issues still need to be addressed to encourage more women to remain in the workplace.
The question is, when you see a lot of women, all the women you see, wonderful women here who've achieved so much, it's been, I think, at a great cost. at a great sacrifice. With all the will in the world, with all the determination in the world, with all the ambition in the world, and I think with all the organization in the world, there's still some fundamental structural things, in my opinion, that need to change to ensure that women can have an equal opportunity to contribute what they have, towards the development of this great nation. But are the capabilities there? Yes. Are they limitless? Yes. We all need to pull together, and I think the men also need to come to the party and recognize these things so that we can move this nation forward.
Other speakers were Ndidi Nwuneli, founder, Leap Africa; Nike Oshinowo, CEO and Creative Director, AOE Events and Entertainment; Ini Onuk, Lead Consultant and CEO of Tixul Praxis Consulting Limited; and Yewande Sadiku, Executive Director, Stanbic IBTC Bank PLC. In her submission, Mrs. Sadiku said that women should not be pressured to remain in the corporate world to be seen as successful.
That in reality there is nothing that you cannot do. There is no skill that you cannot learn. And I encourage people to teach their children a wide variety of things, because you never know, when you need it. The other point that I thought is important to make, when my children were, when my daughter was born, I bonded. I love my work, and from maternity hospital I was using, I was working. But I realized at some point that work felt irrelevant in the context of this new life, and this new experience that I was having, and I didn't feel like going back to work. But after trying motherhood I was sitting at home for 2 months, nobody told me to go back to work. It was actually easier to go back to the office than to be looking after a child. But I find many of us feel pressured because there are many people who are looking up to you, because people ask, how do you do it all? And you feel pressured to continue to do it all because you want to demonstrate that it is possible. Because people think that to be successful, don't tell me you're a mother, don't tell me you're a wife, be a fantastic entrepreneur or be a senior exec in this institution and juggle it all like it doesn't matter. But if a woman decides, that in reality, the future of my children is something that at this point I want to focus on, it is okay. We should not make anybody feel so pressured that they must remain in a corporate organization and be juggling all the balls. There's nothing wrong with those who make that choice, but there is also nothing wrong with making the choice that I can't handle it at this time.
Being the largest gathering designed to celebrate women in business, entrepreneurship, and corporate leadership, the younger women had questions for the speakers.
And it's finding that balance between being the wife, being the mom, and being the business person. Because it feels like there's always a struggle. And when I'm working on my business, I'm like feeling bad about my kids and not having enough time when I'm trying to do this, and this. And how do you find that balance? How do you choose what is more important when? Any tips, basically.
Even though female entrepreneurship and the formation of women business networks is steadily rising, there are a number of challenges and obstacles that women still face in business and in the workplace. For women, the traditional gender roles society has placed on them is still a major obstacle to tapping into their limitless capabilities in business and the workplace.
Alright, that's our time on this edition of the program. I do hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I always say here, for comments, questions, observations, do feel free to get in touch with us on 017763981 or 08033357879, or better still send us an email, almond4xx@yahoo.com or almondproduction@gmail.com. You can also visit us on our website, almondreports.com. Like us on our Facebook page, Almond Finance and Wealth Reports, and view past episodes of this program on our YouTube channel, Almond Reports TV. Join us every Wednesday by 9:45 a.m. live on Niger FM 102.7 Lagos for a Pidgin English program called Waiting Insurance They Do Safe. Don't forget you can also connect with us on WhatsApp via our number 080-333-57879. My name is Faith Uwode. Until same time, same station next week when we come your way with a fresh package of this program from all of us here. It's goodbye.